an act to amend and render more effectual, in His Majesty's dominions in America, an act passed in this present session of Parliament, entitled, An Act for Punishing Mutiny and Desertion, and for the better payment of the Army and their quarters. Whereas in and by an act made in the present session of Parliament, entitled, An Act for Punishing Mutiny and Desertion, and for the better payment of the Army and their quarters, several regulations are made and enacted for the better government of the Army, and their observing strict discipline, and for providing quarters for the Army, and carriages on marches and other necessary occasions, and inflicting penalties on offenders against the same act, and for many other good purposes therein mentioned, but the same may not be sufficient for the forces that may be employed in His Majesty's dominions in America, and whereas, during the continuance of the said act, there may be occasion for marching and quartering of regiments and companies of His Majesty's forces in several parts of His Majesty's dominions in America, and whereas the public houses and barracks, in His Majesty's dominions in America, may not be sufficient to supply quarters for such forces, and whereas it is expedient and necessary that carriages and other conveniences, upon the march of troops in His Majesty's dominions in America, should be supplied for that purpose, be it enacted by the King's most excellent Majesty, by and with the advice and consent of the Lords Spiritual and Temporal, and Commons, in this present Parliament assembled, and by the authority of the same, that for and during the continuance of this act, and no longer, it shall and may be lawful to and for the constables, tithingmen, magistrates, and other civil officers of villages, towns, townships, cities, districts, and other places, within His Majesty's dominions in America, and in their default or absence, for any one justice of the peace inhabiting in or near any such village, township, city, district, or other place, and for no others, and such constables, tithingmen, magistrates, and other civil officers as aforesaid, are hereby required to quarter and billet the officers and soldiers, in His Majesty's service, in the barracks provided by the colonies, and if there shall not be sufficient room in the said barracks for the officers and soldiers, then and in such case only, to quarter and billet the residue of such officers and soldiers, for whom there shall not be room in such barracks, in inns, livery stables, alehouses, victualling houses, and the houses of sellers of wine by retail to be drank in their own houses or places thereunto belonging, and all houses of persons selling of rum, brandy, strong water, cider or metheglin, by retail, to be drank in houses, and in case there shall not be sufficient room for the officers and soldiers in such barracks, inns, victualling, and other public alehouses, that in such and no other case, and upon no other account, it shall and may be lawful for the Governor and Council of each respective province in His Majesty's dominions in America, to authorize and appoint, and they are hereby directed and empowered to authorize and appoint, such proper person, or persons as they shall think fit, to take, hire and make fit, and, in default of the said Governor and Council appointing and authorizing such person or persons, or in default of such person or persons so appointed neglecting or refusing to do their duty, in that case it shall and may be lawful for any two or more of His Majesty's justices of the peace in or near the said villages, townships, cities, districts, and other places, and they are hereby required to take, hire, and make fit, for the reception of His Majesty's forces, such and so many uninhabited houses, outhouses, barns, or other buildings, as shall be necessary, to quarter therein the residue of such officers and soldiers for whom there should not be rooms in such barracks and public houses as aforesaid, and to put and quarter the residue of such officer and soldiers therein.